This is what we want you to do. You're going to come up with a service that has a unique name and it has a uniquely defined process. And the reason why I'm saying uniquely defined process is because you need to have very good understanding to what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. And your customer needs to know what you're going to do and what you're not going to do in order for them to know, okay, I'm paying this price, I'm getting this type of service. It should be self-explanatory. It shouldn't require a human being to sell it or to confirm it. So you need to design it in such a way that through your website, people can read it and go, that's exactly what I need, and click buy. It also needs to have a narrowly defined job to be done. We're going to talk about that. But you need to have a true, deep understanding to what is it that the customer is trying to achieve by buying this product, because they're not going through a custom sales process. They're not going through the why and value conversation. The customer has to read it and go, yep, that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve. The service itself is not what the customer wants to achieve, is the outcome of the service, what they want to achieve. And the outcome, sometimes it's even deeper than just the outcome. There may be something they're trying to solve or fix that is even beyond, what we have been calling the outcome for a while. It should have a short turnaround time, should be able to do this pretty quick, pretty fast. It should be a repetitive process for you. So it needs to have a predictable outcome for all customers purchasing. So it's going to be about the same thing for all customers. It needs to have a fixed price, as we talked about earlier. It needs to be purchased online without any human interaction. And the customer side of the deliverable should be digital, right? Or it should be satisfied upon purchase. So they don't buy a product and then they have to go meet you. Or they buy the Productized service, they have to meet you somewhere to give you documents or email you documents separately. Like, it should all be easily designed, with a low-cost graphic designer, web designer could set up a portal right there from the purchase process for someone to send you the documents. And it needs to be able to be returned or canceled if the customer is not satisfied. These are the conditions and the restrictions that we're putting forth for putting together your productized service. The job to be done is the benefit from the outcome. So again, one more layer deep is the benefit from the outcome. So let's just get pretty deep into studying that. So Kirk, before I go, because we're going to go even deeper, you want to add anything to that?
Nope.
Okay. So experience. I love that. So when you design a service, right, especially a productized service in which it's not a custom experience, it's going to be the same experience to everyone. You think about a service having 3 dimensions. One, the input dimension, right? This is what the provider does that the customer doesn't see. In some cases, these are like the documents the customer gives you, that sort of thing. The second one is what the provider does that the customer can see. These are the outputs. And depending on how you design it, the output may just be something that they see, or it could be an experience. I remember when I was a kid, there was 3 types of car washes. There was the car wash in which you get off the car, you go have ice cream, and then a bunch of people wash it. That wasn't really exciting. A bunch of low cost labor people just washing it by hand. Then there was a car wash that you got off and you were in a waiting area and there was a big window and you can see the car moving through the car wash machine, and you see all the machines moving up and down and soap flying here and there, and you can watch that going through. That's what I call the output, right? You're watching the work as it's happening. And then there was the car wash that was a kid. It impacted me so much, where you're inside the car while you're going through the machine and seeing all the machines bang the car and stuff. And as a kid, I remember the experience when I was inside the car. So there's basically 3 ways, to experience this car wash. 1 is not see it at all inputs. 2, see the outputs. And 3, experience and be part of it. So when you design your service, keep those things in mind, right? Be intentional about what you want from it. And then obviously, finally, it's going to be the outcome, what the customer feels at the end, what the job is to be done. Typically, the provider doesn't feel that, right? That's only all customer-centric. And we usually tend to call that transformation. So I want to make sure that we tie in all those words that we have used in the past. So an example, The service, right? Doing bookkeeping or cleaning up the books, right? That's what we call the service. The output is the financial statements. This is what the customer sort of gets at the end, right? They get the financial statements. The outcome is that the customers hopefully trust the financial data so they can rely on them to make timely decisions. But even beyond the outcome, there's a true job to be done. This is what motivates the customer from doing this in the first place, which is having more time to develop and grow their business, getting time back to enjoy the fruits of their labor, taking a vacation, et cetera, et cetera. So the outcomes are not always the true motivator behind the purchase. The jobs to be done tend to be it. Now, the experience is the portion of the output that you can design. You can design the communication, the updates, response time, confirmation, right? When you get something, whether or not you interrupt your client's operations. So the experience is sort of part of the output, but most people, when they're intentional about it, they get to design the experience. Okay. Kirk, anything to add there?
Nope.
Okay. So when we break these down into three kind of areas, we're going to break it down into what's invisible to the customer. And if the customer sees it, it has no value, such as me watching the people, clean a car by hand. Then we have the stuff the customer sees, what they can observe or experience, and that's going to be the output, the experience, or the outcome. And then we have the stuff that it's only felt by the customer. The provider cannot see it. They can only get the customer to say, thank you, you changed my life, sort of thing. We can't see it. That's the transformation. So we're going to stop somewhere between outcome and transformation. We can't do a lot beyond that, but we have to be able to see beyond the outcome and see what is the job to be done. What does the customer want to feel? What are they looking to feel? What is a transformation? And we don't control how the customer feels, but we do control the experience. Okay. All right. So when you think about designing the process around the customer's experiences, try to put yourself on the side of the customer and see what is it that they get visuals to, right? Be intentional about what you want them to see and what you don't want them to see. Disney is a great example. If you've ever been to a Disney park or you've heard about Disney, there's a whole underground trash system, right? That is there designed for people to get rid of trash really, really quickly. Disney is intentional about you seeing a clean park. That's the experience they want you to see. Behind the scenes, they build an entire underground, trash system in order for them to be able to quickly get rid of all the garbage. Map your process using the smile curve, right? Understand what are the components of value and what is the stuff the customer sees and doesn't see. The way we did it was by designing the process, what we call using the smiling curve, or the V curve is often called, where basically you map out what this whole process is going to look like, right? We do a value conversation, by the way, on this that we charge a deposit for. And we do want to make sure that it is a good candidate for QuickBooks Online. So we charge for that separately, but that's part of the entire price of the process. And then we basically write down everything that's going to happen along the way, right? So think of the smile curve as sort of the time progress of all the work. And you will notice that as you start mapping these out, you will notice that all the high value stuff is at the beginning and the end, right? From the customer's perspective. Now, a lot of the work may be in that middle, in that trough, but most of the high value stuff is at the beginning, at the end. It's a great exercise for you to do to map out these processes. And at the end of the day, once you map them out, this is what this is going to look like. You're going to automate the input process, right? The scope limitations, explaining what the product is, the pricing. You automate that at the beginning. You design the experience around that middle portion, which is what the outputs or what the customer sees. You hide all the low value stuff. Don't let the customer see it. Make it completely transparent for them. And at the end, what you're selling is the last piece. You're selling the outcome, the transformation, what the job to be done is at the end. So just